Hey Libra, let's look at what 2025 has in store for you. And from everything I'm looking at here, it looks like it's definitely a year of reassessing your direction in terms of career and life in general, right? Last year, there was so much, and in 2023, when the Libra Aries eclipses were happening, so much was brought to the surface for you. Eclipses are time frames where they show us what isn't working in life and what we need to do to change it. And I think that this was a time frame in the past year, especially, where it was brought to your attention what things really bring you happiness, what isn't, what's taking from you, what's taking your energy. And here we go into 2025 where these cycles are wrapping up, right? And now we're moving into a phase where it's about the growth and the progress as a result. So you might find starting out this year, we have Mars that's gone retrograde that started June 6th, 2024. Did I just say June? It's not June. December 20, good God. December 6th is when Mars, the planet of action, movement, it went retrograde. So when Mars retrogrades, this doesn't happen every year, but when it does, it tends to slow us down. And for you, this is definitely happening in an area where this has you feeling like you literally have zero energy. This is taking you back, making you contemplate what it is that you want out of life, and this is where that whole life direction type of review is going to be happening. And we start the year out with that because you feel knocked down for that reason, to really kind of introspect, to go within, to not be around other people, but to really focus on what it is that you want and what you need. And you may be finding that at the beginning of 2025 and up until February, end of February, when Mars goes direct again, when it leaves its retrograde phase, that you may go through these periods of ups and downs where you have a whole lot of motivation to do things, and then all of a sudden you have no energy, you're absolutely tired, you're confused, and you don't know which way to go. And I would venture to guess, being the astrologer that I am, that even though Mars retrograde started December 6th, this is probably something that you've been dealing with throughout this eclipse cycle that started at the end of 23, all of 2024, and wrapped up at the end of 2024 in your sign, right? Remember, you are the scale, and it's about the balance in life and balancing those scales. And if things are feeling off, you're going to be feeling off. So Mars really has you looking to this in this time frame. So, so if you feel those periods of total clarity and, oh, I'm going to do this, but then all of a sudden, an hour later, you're back into confusion, don't be surprised. Don't beat yourself up. Just know that it's the universe working with you, making sure that when you do get moving forward, it's something that you really want and you're really going to be moving towards. So, do I want to go to that? Let's go to that. Let's just talk about this and then we'll bring money into it because this might be part of it. It might be career and life purpose. That's that 10th house of ours, right? That's where it shows us our life's purpose and our life's mission. This is what we're here to do in terms of our career and what we're doing outwardly in the world. Now, what we have happening is Jupiter is going to be moving into this 10th house of yours. This is an amazing time frame. See, Jupiter is this amazing planet of luck, opportunity, and expansion. It sees where we're limited in certain situations and it makes these lucky break opportunities for things, people, events to happen that wouldn't happen otherwise. And especially nothing out of our control. They're just lucky breaks that happen, and we have to have the faith and the courage to jump on these when they happen. Now, Jupiter, it takes 12 years to go around the sun, where we take 365 days to make our revolution around the sun. 12 of our years is 1 year to Jupiter. So when Jupiter enters a new sign, it makes a big impact on all of us here, right? But it impacts which house it's moving into. And so for you, the planet of luck, opportunity, and expansion and growth is moving into this life purpose house. It hasn't been there for 12 years. Think back to 12 years ago. What was happening professionally for you then? Well, I always say that history doesn't repeat, it rhymes. And so you may be finding that this is a year where the similar themes in terms of Maybe 12 years ago, you were really deciding what it was that you wanted to do, what you wanted to be when you grew up. You felt an urge to change or shift careers, and an amazing lucky break popped up then that kind of helped lead you in that direction. That same type of energy is back again, right? So maybe it's finding a new type of job. Maybe it's getting that inspiration to find what it is you want to do. Maybe it's networking with more people that can support you in the goals that you're already working towards. Insights, clarity that come out of nowhere. A new job, maybe just something brand new out of nowhere shows up. Maybe it's a promotion where you are now. Maybe it's just you recognizing and realizing that you deserve to be paid more for your services that you provide, and you're just making more money this year. This is what Jupiter is going to be doing. It's going to be bringing these opportunities through. And when it starts to move in to Cancer in June, this is when you're going to start to see the juice of it really, really happening. Now, the thing that's on the other side of it is the house of home and family on the fourth house. 10th house is life, purpose, and career. Down here is home and family. And so in the world of astrology, everything works in opposites, right? So when we have all of this massive energy going into our career, something that can get neglected down here is that fourth house of home and family. Now, dial it back a few minutes ago, maybe not even that long ago, when I was saying that Jupiter is moving into Cancer, hasn't been there for 12 years. Now, as it goes through Cancer for all of us, what it's trying to do is help us to recognize what family means to us, who family is to us, what constitutes as family to us. The fourth house, Cancer, they all go together in the moon. This deals with our parents, our early childhood, especially our mother, the relationships that we have, but it's also the types of beliefs that we adopt from our family units. It's the traumas that we inherit from our family genetics. And as Jupiter goes through, it wants to heal these things that surface. So you may be finding that this is a year where there's more that was, I don't want to say that it was hidden from you necessarily, but maybe there are things that you've pushed out of your mind. Maybe there are things that you justify away as, oh, that's just the way my family is and whatever, and there's nothing I can do about it. But now you're realizing that this is a time frame where these things are coming to your conscious mind for a reason. Maybe it's because these are cycles, patterns that want to be broken. Jupiter has the ability to not only help you through that, it helps heal the damage that was done. It helps you to move forward. And when Jupiter goes through Cancer, it has us looking at our current home and family life too. So you might be finding that while everything's blowing up here in the career house, down here, house of home and family, that might also be impacted as well too. You may be growing your family, you may be expanding your family, you may be expanding your home, remodeling your home, buying a new home. That very well could be happening all at once. So when Jupiter goes through, and with all this Libra energy that you have, it's about striking that balance between home life and work life. And that may come to the surface a little bit more in this coming year as well. Because really, there's so much that's happening here for you to be able to enjoy not only a career, but home life and just a family life that you really, really want to have. And maybe money is something that's holding you back from being able to do that, right? And that's why these opportunities are coming through in that career house. Now, another opportunity, I don't even want to call it opportunity, another event that's going to be happening when we're talking about money, we're talking about the money sectors in your house right now. The eighth house of yours is going through quite a pivotal transformation. It has been going through a pivotal transformation, and let me tell you why. So we have this 80-year cycle of Uranus, the planet of unexpected things, unpredicted things, crazy things that flip things upside down for us, but it ultimately gets us on track to freedom, to being our authentic selves, to living a life that we want, right? The way Uranus does it, you just never know. You just never know. And it takes 80 years for it to make its revolution around the sun. So 80 years of our, yes, 80 years of Earth time is 1 year in Uranus time. So when it moves into new signs, it's gigantic for us here because it's going to stay there for 8 years. Now, starting in 2018, this planet of just predictability landed into your eighth house of debts. This is karmic debts. This is financial debts. This is the money that your partner makes. It's money that is connected to you, but it's not money that you're making. It's like it's money from others. Inheritance goes into that. Um, but debt falls into this. So you have, starting in 2018, where this planet of unpredictability comes through. You throw in the pandemic and all these other things in this time frame, unexpected debt getting piled on, right? But what we're looking at is the fact that this is finally going to be leaving. Not this year 100%. It's leaving next year in 2026. But this is a year where you're going to get a preview of what Uranus reforming that eighth house of debts is going to be looking like. Starting July 7th until November 8th. This is that time frame where you're reviewing um, your financial situation just in general, the debts that you owe. You're looking at what it is you need to get yourself out of that and to get towards that financial freedom that Uranus has been trying to get you towards. That's what it ultimately does, right? It looks to see areas where we get ourselves stuck, where we back ourselves into a corner, and then Uranus comes through and it can radically change them with the hope to get us into freedom. Uranus has been transiting through Taurus, which is the sign that deals with money. So you put those layers together in your Libra chart, and that's what we're coming up with, looking for ways to get to financial freedom. So this is a year where we are looking towards those finances stabilizing. We're looking to those debts stabilizing. We're looking to letting go of, let's pull Jupiter in here too, false belief systems that may have been adopted from family around money, karmic debts from past lives that have to do with money. You are working on stabilizing all of those factors this year and then moving forward. So that way you can get to the financial freedom that you're looking towards. And I think 2026, you're going to be really amazed. So look in that time frame from July until November and just really see what the universe is laying down in terms of opportunities for you to really move forward, especially with career. Remember, because you got Jupiter going through there. Now, um, the next one that I had written down is home and family. We kind of covered that with Jupiter. Really, that's the major one that I'm focused on. This sector isn't the most busy in your chart this year. That was more so, something in the past couple of years. And now it's really just it's more focused on making sure that you find that home and work life balance. So that's number one. Let's move on to relationship though. Straight up love relationships, right? We've already covered money, so let's get into love. This is big, right? This is another area where this is a year in terms of growth and expansion for you. Remember I said we got these slow moving planets out there, and when these slow moving planets make these changes, that's when it makes the biggest impact on us. So we got you over here, Libra, right? Beginning of the chart. Your opposing sign is Aries. Now, this relationship is Libra, Aries is the self and what it needs. So, what we have happening is we have a 200-year cycle of Neptune coming back to Aries, and we have Saturn in a 30-year cycle coming back to Aries. These guys pop in this year, they're there for a few months, they retrograde back into Pisces. Then they're going to be moving back into Aries 100% next year. Neptune's going to be there for the next 14 years. Saturn's going to be there for the next 2.5 years. And what does all that mean? What in the world does this mean for your house of relationships? Hasn't been here in a long, long time. The last time Saturn graced the house of marriage, partnerships, um, all of that was 30 years ago. And so Saturn has a way of making us learn a lot of lessons. So what we've got happening is a 30-year cycle that's coming around to wrap up all of the lessons that you have accrued through relationships. Remember, you are a Libra. You came here to learn about yourself through relationships. So to have Saturn coming through, not only is it a stabilizing factor for relationships, but it's also a way to tie up all of those lessons and loose ends and karmic energy that surrounds relationship for the next 2.5 years. You'll get a preview of that this year. Saturn is also the planet that loves to think in the long term. It's coming up with long term plans, it's coming up with ideas for the future, and it's coming up with the plans how to get there, right? Exactly. So, as a result, when Saturn starts moving into a house, we find that we're very forward thinking in that on what we need to do to shore up the foundations of that house. So for you, this is a year where you're going to start getting insights on how to really repair any cracks that are appearing in the marriage, in your relationship, in your friendships. This is also the house of like doctor patient, one-on-ones. So maybe you're looking at finding a new type of client base that's more fitting with that whole 10th house energy of you kind of moving and shifting your career. Whatever it is, Saturn's trying to get that so we find people that are also going to be a stabilizing factor for the next 30 years. And you're not learning more and more lessons about relationship. Now you're really taking those lessons and moving into this healthier phase. Saturn also moving in. Let's say you're not in a relationship. Saturn coming in over the next 2.5 years in that house for you is that potential to bring in that stable partner that's ready to be committed and really help for the long haul in your life. Now, um, now another thing too with um, Saturn is that it matures these relationships. It matures you in relationships as well. And how that happens is by setting boundaries and limits. Our boundaries are going to change a lot. I think people don't realize that maybe something that would have been a non-negotiable for you, 5 years ago is all of a sudden not as bad now that you've had time to deal with it, or maybe vice versa. So this is a time frame where as Saturn goes through, we're going to be reassessing our boundaries. We're going to be assessing our limits. We're going to be assessing how much energy we're giving in the relationship, how much we're getting back. All of these things kind of work in tandem together. Um, and then when we have Neptune coming in, that kind of adds another layer to it. All right. So we've got Saturn that is trying to come up with some plans, right? And trying to stabilize and set up all these new parameters. Then you got Neptune that don't like no parameters and it dissolves them. That's what it does. And Neptune hasn't been here for a long time. And as Neptune comes through, it is trying to bring that energy of manifesting the perfect ideal relationship. Easier said than done, right? But that's what it does. And so it's going to be working on helping you to dream into being what it is you want, but you're also going to have to maintain those boundaries and limits and work hard to get that done, right? So they kind of work with each other, but they almost kind of work against each other in a way too. So it's just a matter about being aware of not getting lost in the dreams of what it is you want and setting them into practical action. Really, that's that's what I meant to be. Um, Another thing that's going to be happening with that too, um, is that Pluto has moved into your fifth house. We talked about this last year. We're going to talk about it again because you probably don't remember, but we're going to talk about it. So, Pluto, that planet of transformation that takes 250 years basically to move around the sun, has moved into that fifth house of yours. This is transforming over the next 20 years what it is that makes you happy. So, you're getting a little bit of clarity now on what it is you need in terms of romance and happiness, and you're going to be able to bring that to the table with this restructuring of how relationships work over the next 2.5 years as this guy moves into that house of home. Now, one of the other things that we're looking at too, remember we were talking about belief systems. We have the eclipses, and wherever the eclipses are, the nodes are going to be following. So that's our purpose, where we're the direction that we're meant to be heading. And then the south node is the one that we're getting away from. They work in tandem with the eclipses that work in these 10-year intervals. So it's been quite some time since we've had these Pisces and Virgo eclipses. The eclipses were all about you last year. That's why things were cray last year for you, because eclipses say this isn't what's working. I'm bringing it to the surface. Now you need to know what to do to let go, to shift and change. It's happening now in your sixth and 12th houses. These are the houses that say our thoughts create our reality. So when you put all this together, if you have old, outdated belief systems, self beliefs, inherited beliefs from people, from family, from friends, from whatever it might be, these eclipses in March and then again in September, I'm just going to blanket say the whole months for both of those. You will get signs from the universe on maybe those thought processes that are blocking you from manifesting the things that you want. That's that sixth house, 12th house access. What we think of, we create in our physical reality. Especially if you've been finding that you've been dealing with intermittent health issues, or maybe that is an issue that comes up under these eclipses for you this year. It's really going to have you dialing it back and saying, where are my thoughts creating this? Is worry and doubt and fear creating these issues? Putting that connection between mind, body, and spirit. So we have all of those. Now, you blah, blah, blah. Okay, so we can manifest anything we want anytime. I don't think that but there's certain windows that it's going to be better, right? Now, we look to the new moon to manifest, we look to the full moon to release what doesn't work. Any of these are going to work any time of any month for any sign, but it's going to be a little bit stronger when you're working with your Libra moons. So now your Libra new moon, when you want to manifest, and we talked so much about all the amazing things that are coming, when you want to manifest, October 21st is going to be the new moon for you this year. If you're ready to release things, if these things are surfacing for you and you're ready to really walk away, release, do whatever's best, the April 12th eclipse is going to be happening in Libra. And that's the one to really purge what isn't working anymore. So keep those ones in mind as well, too. So um, these are the birthdays that we're going to be working with next. I'm talking about this where we're looking at certain birthdays. This is all based on astrological alignments that will line up with certain days for birthdays. If your birthday doesn't fall in here, that doesn't mean nothing's going to be happening for you. All of these could be happening for you. Just take what resonates, leave what doesn't. But if your birthday's not on here, it doesn't mean nothing's going to happen. It's just somewhere you're in here as well. You know, there's a little bit of it that's also happening for you. But to see how all of the things that I just said, where is Jupiter bringing me this lucky break? Where is Uranus having me break free and become my authentic self in this area? That's where you look at your actual chart to see where it's coming through. I have a link below. You can schedule a reading with me. We can do it by Zoom and we can go over all these aspects, how it's specifically affecting you. If you're just interested in learning more about astrology, I have finally created a digital astrology planner for 2025 that's kind of like an astrology 101 book at the beginning, but then it also has a lot of information in it for each day, what's astrologically happening. It has month by month what's going on. It has new moon and full moon journaling areas that really get into depth about how to utilize the energy and harness the energy of the moons. That link is below as well. But that's if you want to figure all this stuff out specifically for you. But back to these birthdays. If you have a birthday September 23rd if your birthday is September 23rd, this is a year for you. I'm telling you what, talking about shift and change because all of these have it. But anyway, September 23rd to the 25th, Saturn out there, remember that boundary maker, that one is going to be squaring up against your sun. So this may be a year where you're taking on additional responsibilities. And with additional responsibilities come additional boundaries and limits, right? So this may be a year where you're really, really focused on that, focused on achieving your long-term goals and coming up with those plans, right? Especially when it comes to relationship. Um, the thing that happens with this, though, the more mature approach that Saturn, even though it may be restricting you a little bit more this year, you're not able to travel, you're not able to do this or whatever. What it's doing is it's helping you to walk into a much more stable phase of life. So just trust the process, go with the flow, take whatever lessons you need to learn out of it. Be sure to set the boundaries where you need to, and this too shall pass. Absolutely. September 23rd to the 26th. Neptune, that dissolver of those boundaries and barriers that you put up, is going to be opposing your sun. So this is definitely a year where Saturn is trying really hard to set those boundaries, but the Neptune wants to dissolve them away and it wants you to surrender. Remember, I was just saying that process of just going with the flow. That's what Neptune likes to say. So the more that we can actually say, okay, I have no control over this right now. It is what it is. I'm just going to surrender and go with the flow, not fight against it. That's where the juice and the magic is going to be happening. Um, that clash of these two planets may be a little bit more exhausting for you if you land in this. I would almost venture to guess that all Libras are going to be feeling that push and pull dynamic of, I need to do this, I know what I want to do, then all of a sudden being super confused and having no energy to make that happen. Just know it's because these two energies are working behind the scenes on a subconscious level for you, and it's kind of manifesting in this way. The best way to channel when those times hit, when it's the ups and downs, is utilizing Neptune energy, which is being creative. That could be listening to music, that could be meditation, or just finding whatever helps you to connect with your spiritual self and trusting what your internal guidance system. This period is really to help you decipher if the plans that you're coming up with is really what you want, right? That's what it's doing. September 23rd to October 18th, Jupiter out there is going to be squaring your sun, that lucky planet. Even when it makes a tough aspect to us, it still brings good things. So as Jupiter is squaring up with your sun this year, this is going to be a time for growth, the luck, the opportunities, the Midas touch, where putting in a little tiny bit of effort is going to go a long way and you're going to be really surprised. But taking action is going to be vital. And that's where there's going to be that hitch in the giddy up. Remember, we talked about that. I know what I want. No, I don't. I don't have the energy. No, I do. It's going to be a lot of that. So just know that taking action is going to be important this year for you towards your goals and your dreams and those aspirations, especially when it comes to career, and these significant life changes. So that's everything for you. That ended up being way longer than I expected, but I hope it brought some insight or a little bit of reassurance that this kind of push and pull dynamic that's been happening with you is actually kind of necessary in this process of you finding what it is you want and really setting the tone for the next 30 years of bringing you happiness and stability. So, thank you so much for watching and have a wonderful new year.